live from a fresh new apocalypse. This is the state of the game. I am your wet ass proficient host, Dan O, and this is my wet ass poignant sidekick,
What up?
K Diggy. It's a good deal. I can't believe I called you my sidekick. I regret that. That's horrible. Anyway, so it was an Aminé journey this week. An Aminé journey. If you just wanted to dig in, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a lot. I told you about the NBA. Told you like this with the NBA, where there's a lot of great young talent in the NBA, but there's a lot of people who are going to end their career without a championship.
Right.
There's a lot of Reggie Millers and Charles Barkleys in this NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the rap is going to kind of be like that.
As in, there's going to be a lot of underrated talent that don't get the recognition that you think they deserve?
Or just end up at a plateau, you know? And like, we keep talking about classic albums, but because there's so much, there's actually less classic albums.
Right.
Because there's less collective thought. Like, it's so small scale.
Mm-hmm.
And so a bunch of people are just going to kind of exist. And I'm going to apologize right now. I'm terrible at pronouncing things. I'm probably going to pronounce his name wrong. It's my mouth says things like John Wayne would say them for some reason when it comes to like names and accents and stuff. It's horrible. Anyway, so Aminé is what I'm going to say.
Aminé.
He's I felt right from the beginning when I heard Caroline that this was different. That the package, the complete package here is different. And there was probability there was potentiality here. There was a lot of skills on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And harnessing those skills could take him to an impressive level.
Mm. Okay. And you felt like that from hearing Caroline?
Oh yeah. From diving into the album. Once I heard the album.
Okay.
Good for you. And I originally I kind of felt like his ceiling was the next Wale, was the next generation's Wale.
Oh wow. Okay. That's what you felt originally?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd never put those two, like I'd never made that something, but I could see that. I could see how they're both from the same tree.
Yeah, I mean, when like I said, I saw Wale as the first act of a Rock the Bells festival, and he had Nike boots, and it was a catchy song, and I remember thinking, I don't think anybody for the next few hours has a catchy song.
Right.
This is all underground shit. This is all like, hoodies with the hoodie up, and that's my underground hip hop sound, maybe. But it's and that was different. Wale was different like that. He could rap his ass off. He had a great flow, but he could also like switch it up into something that was impossibly catchy.
Right.
And I felt like I'm gonna have the chance to do that, and so I want to go through it. And should we start with the first album?
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's start with an overview of this gentleman.
Okay.
Aminé was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. He was an intern at Complex. Uh, if someone is accused Aminé of being a singles artist, they have a case. Uh, while 2017's album "Good for You," which we mentioned, went gold, it was largely due to the single "Caroline" going 4 times platinum.
Yeah.
In 2018, "Reel It In" went platinum as well. His singles outsell his albums. This is the case with most artists. Uh, but his albums are quite good. Singles artists like Kyle or even Little Yachty are bad at making full albums. Aminé is not. He knows his production style and how to sequence and theme. Is that a fair paragraph?
Yeah, I mean, I do think, I mean, Kyle came out with an album this year, and I would say that Limbo was a better album than his album. So I would agree with that. I would agree with he knows how to sequence albums.
And if he's got 3 projects in the public eye, uh, all of them are better than the worst Little Yachty you're going to find.
Yeah, all of them are better than the worst Little
Yachty.
Yachty. Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah. A bad Little Yachty album is a train wreck.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting skill set here, and we want to talk 2017. "Good for You" is the first album.
Mm-hmm.
And what were your thoughts re-listening to it?
Well, I didn't like the cover. Felt like,
Is he pooping on the cover? Is that what this
yeah,
is?
he's sitting on a blue toilet. I mean, I like the colors. The blue, it's
Yellow
blue.
background. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I felt like for a debut album, this wasn't like an appropriate cover. And I mean, because people are we are visual like beings. You know what I mean? Like if we see a cover, it's going to influence how we listen to the music. In my opinion, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that kind of put me off. But when I listened to the album, like what I'll say is what came to mind for me is he's very good at a lot of things, but I couldn't hone in on one thing that he was particularly excellent. He was like a jack of all trades to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could hear like a lot of influences. Like I could see how he would be big on the underground, because any artist that a typical underground backpacker would like, you can hear, like if you really listen for it, you'll be able to hear in his in this album, "Good for You."
Mm-hmm. Hello?
Yeah, can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things I noticed, and I want to see if you agree with that, is right off the rip, some people have flow problems, right? Um, it's some people don't have a conscious flow that they're doing; they just kind of go, you know.
Okay.
Some people stick in a cadence and never come out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a thing. But right off the bat, you realize that Aminé had an impressive flow.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with
Basketball
that.
comparison here. Um, what was impressive about Ben Simmons when I first saw him was that he was fast for someone that size.
That big, absolutely.
That's kind of the similarity. That's one of the reasons Wayne is what Wayne is, right? Like the ability for him to just go like that. And it doesn't matter. It's not like anybody heard Uproar and was like, man, this is special. Like, he doesn't do this all the time. This is Wayne. That's Wayne in his Wayne place, right?
Right.
And some people never get there. Um, and I felt like Amine had the ability to speed up, slow down, sing, rap, uh, and that to do to make him a jack of all trades, but with some specific skills. Let me try here. I'm going to try and share my screen so we can see the various covers at hand here. Let me take a look. Ha! Let's see if it works. Boom. You seeing it?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm seeing it.
Okay. So yeah, see right over here is the blue uh, blue toilet with the newspaper there. Blue letter, adorable. Uh, the that is not my least favorite of his covers. 1.5 is.
I'd agree. When you made that statement at first, I was like, before I'd seen the cover, I was like, I thought, no, that can't be. But then when I saw the cover and I listened to the album, I understood exactly why it would not be one of your favorites.
And it's very indicative of the album in my opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
Limbo is a pretty good cover. It's good. I like the Limbo ball. I like the tennis ball. Uh, I like the black and white. It's. I'm not saying it's great.
No.
I'm just saying it's not bad, and it's not distractingly bad, and that is a step forward in the right
You
direction.
know, like, I'm just surprised for someone who studied marketing. Like, he went to school and he studied marketing. Like, his major was marketing.
Mm.
He was an intern at Complex magazine.
Yep.
I would assume that he would have a better understanding or appreciation for the marketing of his albums.
Uh, yeah, and the decisions have been all over the place.
Yeah,
You're right. It's fair. But you have to learn.
yeah, that's true.
You have to learn on the job, man. And trust me, everybody that graduates with a degree in marketing is pretty sure that they're a genius. But the degree doesn't make you that. It's just the way it is, you know. I was never a marketing guy, but I must be the opposite of my college experience
Okay.
in the sense that I was a philosophy major, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by the time kids got out of philosophy major stuff, they were depressed because they had nowhere to go. This didn't lead to a career.
Right.
If they were going anywhere, it was to get a master's and be a teacher in philosophy.
Right.
Uh, because where else are you going to use it? And philosophy kind of teaches you that your other jobs are immoral. So everybody leaves kind of like, whew, rough, you know. And I remember one guy came in with a story saying he quit his job because of the text we had read last week. And the teacher said, I wish I could tell you that was the first time that happened, but it happens all the time.
Whew.
Wow. Yeah. But yeah. So it must be the opposite in the sense that you learn all this stuff and you think you've got like the keys to the kingdom, right? If I flash this hot dog, they'll want the hot dog. God, I'm brilliant.
Hmm.
But it's I don't know. That's me being insulting to marketing degree people, which I'm comfortable with. But
Like,
yeah, but you're yes, there's an artistic element that's weird here in terms of and this kind of haunts the discography so far, right? The modus operandi is you always kind of wish you had more,
hmm
even though it's
okay,
really good, even though he's got skills, he's got stuff that's stuck in your head. You kind of wish there was more.
right. There's just something missing.
You don't really feel satiated.
Yeah.
It's almost that weird rom-com thing where they're like, you know, sure you're great and our time's been fun, but this doesn't have the spark, it doesn't have the magic, um, it doesn't have that next level creative juice to it.
Yeah. I mean, because it's interesting when I listen to "Good for You."
Mm-hmm.
Like there, I don't have any. Like I can't say, man, that I can't point to a particular track and say, this track was garbage, or he can't really rap. I mean, he's good. Like I can't say that he's not good, but there's just something. There's something not there. There's just something that did not for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a strange album in the sense that so first thing about Good For You that I'd like to say. Good For You is a very horny album. That's the
It's the
first thing you
first thing
need.
you'd like to.
The first thing you need to know going in, Keys to the Kingdom. I mean, what was the thing? I don't know if you've ever said this to a suitor of yours,
Oh no,
but he says, "Let's get gory, like a Tarantino movie."
the movie. No, I've never said that. I'll have to try it out sometime. See how
Hmm.
it goes.
And what did he? What there was more to it too. There's all kinds of weird mentions of sex objects and things of that nature in the thing.
Is mention a
Uh,
giraffe too?
I, I don't doubt it. It's a horny album. I mean, the whole finding your Spice Girl. It's all horny imagery. Some of it is disguised pretty well uh, as pop hit fun, but it's very horny.
Mm-hmm.
And the horny stuff is really the lead stuff. It's really the face of it,
Oh,
you know. Uh, but the best songs are buried.
right.
The best songs on Good For You are totally buried. They are not the ones everybody thinks of immediately. Um, Dakota comes to mind.
With Charlie Wilson, yes.
Turf.
Yeah.
there's some there's some cuts on there that are really good.
It's interesting. It's interesting that I was getting a Frank Ocean vibe because Turf was done by Malay, who handled the production on Channel Orange for Frank Ocean. So, and I didn't even know that before this. That would kind of make sense why
Mm-hmm.
why I was getting that vibe.
Yep. I mean, the stuff that kind of pops out for people is like Wedding Crashers.
It's all
Uh,
set. Yep.
because that's this stuff is like very radio friendly. Uh, and but the stuff like man, the stuff that kind of separates him from other people is stuff like Heebie Jeebies.
Oh, with Kalani, yes.
I mean, he can put his voice next to the best singers in the world and stand right next to him and
So
deliver.
yeah.
And that's something that I can't do. Ballerinas, yes, I will shred you, ballerinas. I'm 10 times the ballerina. Anyway, um, moving on. But it is so. But good for you right away separates him. Like as an example, I'm wearing the Homeboy Sandman hat. Stones Through Records. He left Stone Through Records, but it's a great hat. It's a Mitchell and Ness hat. Uh, and Homeboy Sandman is great. But in a review of Homeboy Sandman, Robert Christgau, this was an A minus review, gave him an A minus. So this is supposed to be a nice review. Christgau can't be nice. He says, if only his delivery were more iconic, he would be able to rise up to the level of, the major stars, and because his talent is there.
Right.
you know, on Dusty, the album that came out like last year, he said, "I'm from Queens, so the smell of boiled eggs reminds me of Halloween." That's great. What a great image.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't have the delivery. He just sounds like a dude. He's great. His stuff is great, and if you listen to it, you'll get a lot out of it. But he sounds like a dude, and he's just not worried about it. He's just Homeboy Sandman. He's very good at what he does, but Aminé understands something about like how to make a home run. You know what I mean?
Understands how to make a home run. Now, what do you mean by that?
How to turn a fly ball into a home run just with the hooks.
Okay.
Uh, with the song. Did you watch the Pitchfork thing?
Yes.
So the story that I love is when he was the guy who's his primary producer is like Pasquale or something,
Yeah.
and played him the Caroline beat, and he said, "No, no, pull that out, pull that out, like just let it be this,"
Mm.
because he's like he calls himself like a student of the Rick Rubin school of just like
Less
leave
is
it
more.
as simple. Yeah, less is more. So Caroline is a very barely there beat.
Yeah.
And it's supposed he made it like that. He has a signature sound.
It's interesting because do you think anything else on the album sounds like Caroline?
It's a good question.
I mean, for me, I think, and I talk about this with my friend all the time. I think an artist is when your first album, your first like official release, should be trying to make like a statement. You know what I mean? Like it should be your mission statement. Like, when I hear it, I know what you're trying to be, or what you're about.
Yeah, good for you is not a mission statement, but it's a money statement, right?
Okay.
What I'm trying to get across is there's home runs, there's singles on that fly up the charts, right? So 4 times platinum with Caroline, Wedding Crashers can be it. All these other songs, Spice Girl. There's all kinds of catchy stuff on it for people to chew on, and you fly up the charts, and you just leave the underground substrata behind. So bye bye mixtape Aminé, right?
Okay.
Uh, so he'll always have people checking for his stuff, right? Um, he earned himself a few years of that on that one album. And what I think he wanted to do with the album, what I think he wanted the mission statement to be, was that he's happy, right? Like being happy. And what being happy that you have this success, that you get to share it with these people you care about, uh, and being horny about it. I mean, it seems to be a goofy younger version of the Drake album everybody likes.
Which
Nothing was
which
the same. Nothing was the same.
okay. Okay.
Nothing was the same as the album where, and correct me if I'm wrong, uh, was the one where he was just kind of hanging with his crew, and he just made that album with his crew.
Okay, that's true.
All the videos were like them in their house with red solo cups, just like ooh, like it was a bro album, and he was broing out, and like he felt his oats, right? I know what I need to do. I don't need to grab all these important people. I don't need to stress anything,
Right.
you know. And so he sounds real comfortable on songs like Wu Tang Forever, Furthest
Yes.
Thing. He sounds
Good point.
comfortable.
Yeah. Worst
Made my
behavior.
inside joke with me and my crew into a hit. And I think that's he wanted to be in that space. That's the hope that he had at that point.
Mm. Okay.
It's I think looking back at it and listening to it again, what I would say is there's nothing else that sounds like Caroline, but there's a lot of stuff that's better. Um, I don't particularly love the I don't particularly love the STFU kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, I like I said, Dakota, Turf, the stuff you start to see stuff that is closer to him is way better.
Right.
You know, and it's I sent you a quote. Uh, we celebrated Nate Patron this week with me finishing his book, Bring That Beat Back.
Mm-hmm.
There was a quote. This highlights one of the core realities of sample-based music, particularly hip hop, even in a genre that incorporates a whole continuum of traditions and draws from a shared knowledge of fundamentals, all concerned with how other artists' music is reinterpreted. The producer or beat maker or DJ is still expected to create a self from these works, where even someone who owns tens of thousands of records is still able to take pieces from a few of them and rearrange them and juxtapose them in ways literally nobody else could. That's often why so many efforts to literally recapture Jay Dilla's sound feel false, an unconscious unlearning of everything a producer used to make their own identity first. Yeah.
Mm.
So, and I don't know music theory, but I'll try and explain. Sterling Tolles did a much better job explaining than I will do. He was on
Mm-hmm.
the Dad Bod Rap Pod, and he was talking about Detroit is sound, and Jay Dilla's sound was the rejection of quantization, right? Quantization was the ability for the system to kind of correct any off parts of the melody.
Right.
You know,
Like a
uh,
metronome. Like put it on time. Put it, the beat
yes,
on.
yes, and Dilla shut that off and created his own time that was in and out of time. And Dilla loved to weave mistakes into his beats
Yeah. Yeah.
because he loved catching mistakes on records. Felt it made them special. Madlib was the same way, right? Just bring everything you have to inhabit the space you're in and discover where you're going.
Well,
And so you can't mimic that unless you can mimic the methods, but you can't go A B C D all the way through that journey.
right. There's an intangible for any record or any song, or particularly great record or great song. There's like an intangible. There's something like intangible that can't be explained, can't be like recreated about it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I'm glad that you point that out, and I'm glad that you said that quote, because there was nothing on Good For You that felt like I didn't feel that from him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think the end of the record starts to get there. I think Heebie-Jeebies is a side of him. I think Money is an interesting theme that he starts to work on. I think there is pieces, yeah, but a lot of it is him planting his flag from a money perspective.
Let me ask you a question, because I've been thinking about this. It goes kind of back to marketing. Off the top of your head, can you name like an artist that is not as talented as Aminé, but probably marketed themselves better?
I think, yeah, there's probably a lot.
Okay.
There's probably a lot. But it's hard to say less talented, right? Because what? Let me give you a comparison, right? Um, have you ever heard Smoke DZA?
Yeah.
Smoke DZA's excellent at being Smoke DZA.
Yeah.
He's the best fucking Smoke DZA ever. And when he does pro wrestling songs, they are awesome because he loves pro wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, is he less talented than Aminé? He certainly can't sing a ballad with Summer Walker.
Okay.
He certainly can't like make me fist pump through hooks the way Aminé can, but his talent is concentrated. He's a sculptor.
Okay. Right.
Right? He's working on that. Working on that. And he's good. Right? I mean, listen to the new Locks album. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys just do what they do. They have worries because they have stuff they can't do, but they know what their worries are.
Right.
Their strengths and weaknesses stay the same. When you are good at as many things as Aminé is, the levels can go all over the place.
Right. That's a good point. Right.
So 1.5 is a very interesting thing. It's got another one of those hits at the center of it. Reel it in. It's got, I mean, one of the things I want to talk to you about is the features that he gets. He gets fascinating features.
Let's see. Who does he? Name
So to go
Gunna.
from like Charlie Wilson and Kalani on the first album, on this 1.5, he's got Gunna, G Herbo, and
Yep.
Rico Nasty.
Right.
It's interesting. I think the Gunna song is a little forgettable.
Okay.
I think the Blackjack song made me a little unhappy because he was talking about how good he is in the group chat. I'm the best in the group chat. Like I pull these women no one else can pull in the group chat. And I was like, man, where are we going next? Are we gonna start to talk about universes or your your profile and how cool and well thought out it is, like these are low stakes things you're talking to me about.
Right.
You know, Shine I really like Shine, and I really like Pasque, the guy who does the beats with him. Uh, I really like their friendship, and I really hope they keep it together and keep making music. Uh, Chingy's good stuff. Uh, what stuck out to me the most, and I want to get your opinion on this. You heard
Okay.
1.5, right?
Yes.
Is is Sugar Parents? Is that the biggest beatdown he's ever caught on a record?
Um, on this album, I mean, I
I mean,
thought,
I think of the three, if you said who washes Aminé the worst in his career so far, my answer is Rico Nasty on Sugar Parents.
I mean, I like what Young Thug did on the next album,
Ooh, compensating.
but
Mm.
I could see that there could be a case made.
I just and I would have if I was there, if I was a weed carrier amongst his crew, uh, I I would have said uh, in my very Caucasian voice, I don't think this is a good fit for you, sir. I don't think this is a good fit. You know, they people want to see King Kong versus Godzilla. They don't want to see Johnny Appleseed versus Godzilla. We love the apples that Johnny Appleseed plants. We just don't think he can handle Godzilla. Um,
Yeah.
she's excellent on that song.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it shows that he's a humble dude. That I mean, he must have known that he got outshined on the track, but I'm sure he's comfortable enough with himself that he's like, I'll leave it be. I don't have anything to prove.
I mean, yeah, he's fine. I think yeah, I uh, I think getting killed on a track is probably overrated. Um, but he knew once he asked Rico Nasty. Rico Nasty's delivery is completely different from his,
Yeah.
and I always think of the Twitter comedian who described it. Did I tell you about this description? That Rico Nasty's flow is like the angry parent of a third grader at a parent teacher conference. I can't shake it. I can't shake it. It's
Good. That's good.
it's a
I
pretty
like
good
that.
deal. But honestly, I don't think 1.5 should exist. Um
Yeah,
doesn't have
I
much
thought
value.
I thought it was a little bit monotonous. Um, what I'll say about Good for You, it wasn't. I mean, it's not like my favorite album, but I acknowledge the versatility of it. Maybe it's a little bit too versatile. As I said, jack of all trades, master of none. When I got to this album, 1.5, there was just none of that. It just felt a little bit repetitive. That spark and that versatility and that variance that you heard on the first album, that it was just not here. And maybe that's because production was handled mostly by Pasquet, but it
I
just was
I
not
think
a good follow-up to.
it really had the feeling, and this is he has a Vulture interview that I read and pulled stuff. He was talking about how he wanted to take his time on Limbo because he knows that sophomore albums have a problem and wanted it to come out good. But he was worried that people were going to get, I don't know, like get, unsettled or whatever, listening, waiting for it.
Oh,
So
okay. So
he
that's why it's 1.5. So it's like a half an album before. Oh,
he
okay.
doesn't consider it a legit album. He considers it a mixtape. He put it out to like satiate his fans. It did too well on the charts, and he had to tour for it, and it delayed Limbo.
Wow. So he, you know, and I can hear when I didn't know that when I listened to the album, I could hear that his heart, because it was so like weird for me how different the two albums were.
Sure.
And it wasn't like this was like a progression in his sound or anything, or like him experimenting with something new. It was just that spark that he had on his first album. There was none of that in this album. So for it to be like something to satiate, like hold over the audience until Limbo came out, that would make sense.
And I'm glad if he was basically feeling his way through to Limbo, creating this stuff and seeing how good it was, and then he just bundled this and dropped it. I'm grateful for it because I don't want any of this on Limbo.
Yes.
So that's cool. But it highlights one of the things where I really like Aminé and his process, because he was saying, I'll never do another Good For You. Like, these albums reflect a place in your life.
Right.
And that was where that was in my life. And Limbo reflects where I am in my life now. And so he wanted to make that conscious shift. And I think he did.
Yeah, I agree.
So you think Limbo is his best album?
Yes.
Why? Why do you think it's his best album?
I mean, it came 3 years after his first album. You know, I can hear the maturity. I thought the production was much. Yeah, I would say I thought the production was much better. Like I love some of the features as well. Like I loved Compensating, Shimmy, the Pressure in My Palms. Like the middle portion of the album was like really, really good stuff. And it was, and to continue your point, like it sounded more like the end of Good For You than it did the beginning.
Yes.
So yeah, so I was gonna say, so that, I mean, that was, it showed his evolution as an artist.
Yeah, and I think it you know, it's it's not like Metacritic has the same score on it that Pitchfork did, 7.5 out of 10, 75 out of 100. That's kind of, it's like a respectable pop album.
Yeah.
Oh, it got his highest chart that was like top 10. It was in the top.
Debuted at 16.
It was
Top number 10 on the R&B and hip hop
yes,
album.
that's what I'm saying. Number 10 R&B hip hop,
Yep.
16 U.S. Billboard. So highest he's had in the U.S. Charted. He's got charting stuff all over. He charts in Canada, New Zealand, Switzerland,
Mm-hmm.
Australia. It's. I think it's. I think he has the best skits of the year.
Okay.
He
Which
worked
one?
with, he
Which
worked
one
with a
did you like the
comedian.
most?
He worked with a comedian, uh, and they developed these skits together. I love all the skits because they are very impactful and they're very short.
Right.
The
Yes.
last thing I want is a 2-minute skit. Ooh, or like, leave me alone. I've got a life to live, you know. Um, but these are like shorter skits, and I mean the highlights are the Kobe. The Kobe one really hit me.
Yep. Yeah.
It was a really interesting way to look at it. But right off the bat, man, right off the bat, he says, "This is some shit you put on when you pick up your people from jail."
Right.
And then that sample screams for Burden, and it's awesome. It
Yeah.
and our Limbo is darker. Yes, it's darker, but it's not dark.
Right. I think he mentioned in the Pitchfork, he mentioned that he wanted to be known as like a vitamin D rapper. You know what I mean? That's the genre of rap that he wanted to live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so you're picking your person up from jail. Are you really gonna put on like Reasonable Doubt? Is that really what he wants to hear? Well, he or she? I mean, you want to? I mean, you put on Aminé and he's discussing heavy stuff here and there, but it's fun. Compensating's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that was one of my favorite Young Thug features. I mean, he sounded great. They both sounded great on it.
And that's the thing with him. He's really good with his features. Like he plays well with others.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about how he locked in with Kalani and created this incredible song. It's one of the best songs on it.
Right.
He does the same thing with Summer Walker on Easy.
Yes.
But Slow Tie is on this goddamn thing.
Yeah. You talking
Slow
about pressure
Tie.
in my palms?
Slow Tie. No. Yes, Pressure in My Palms. Slow Tie is an insane person from England who last year he had an album called Nothing Great About Britain that is awesome. But he's a bit of an oddball, even for British rappers. Like he's pretty out there, and so to have him on an album with Charlie Wilson and Summer Walker and Young Thug, he's got an ear, man. He's really got an ear.
Yeah. And you can tell like I mean, because hip hop is about relationships and social game. I mean, you can tell that he probably has a solid social game as well that he's able to get. And don't forget he's got Vince Staples on it as well. You know, he's able to get a lot of these features, and they're not just features so that you know the album can move sales like for big names. The features actually have like they fit the song that they're on.
And this, like, I also think he's really good at uh, themes and moods,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, what do you think is the catchiest hook on Limbo?
Um, I like compensating.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mama. I really like Mama too.
I mean, Mama is maybe one of my least favorite hooks, just in the sense that it's just him saying "Mama" over and over again.
Yeah, see, I don't, and that's the thing. Like, none of the hooks like stood out to me, but the
Oh,
songs do.
I think to me, Riri really stands out.
Okay, okay, because Riri wasn't one of my favorites on this.
Broke my heart 3 times. Left me with the peace sign. I really like the design of that hook. I really like if you listen to it. There's like a brief space. There's like a brief second pause before the hook starts and lands. And when it does, it's a big hook. It's not because the thing that Aminé does sometimes it's hard to know the hook because the whole song sounds like a hook,
Right.
right? He's just kind of in the pocket of the groove and it naturally leads through the hook and beyond it. This one really did separate that and really escalate it. But The one that's really stays in my head is Can't Decide.
Okay.
Love
Before
Can't.
compensating, yes. Yeah,
Very
as I
catchy.
said, the whole middle section of the album was really, really solid.
And it's part because Can't Decide is super catchy. The song before it, Roots, is really soulful.
Right.
Then you go to Compensating, which is it is totally two goofballs having fun.
Right.
Then Shimmy, which is a grittier tone, right?
Hmm.
Pressure in My Palms with Slow Tie. But then there's a groove into like Easy to Mama. My Reality is a really interesting closer. Um,
Hmm.
it's it's a good album. I don't love Becky, but nah, it's fine. The but yeah, the song. I think the song concepts are very well done.
Hmm.
Um, the problem is still what we said before, right? The
Yeah.
wanting more from these verses. Um, the inverse of the compliment I gave about the skits, I can say the heaviest lifting is done on the skits.
Ooh, it's an interesting point.
There's nothing he says in his verses that's deeper or more important than the grapefruit skit.
Mm. That's a good point.
Now,
Wow.
the grapefruit, I'm grateful for all the skits because it, Limbo. What I really got excited about hearing Limbo was this is a guy. If you had a whiteboard up and I had to mark what strengths and weaknesses this artist had,
Okay.
Limbo is better than the rest of his albums in
Yes.
every weakness. He reduced every weakness,
Yes.
right? And
Agreed.
that is exciting to me because that means he's thoughtful and he understands what he's doing.
He's learning. He's
Starting,
growing. Right.
yeah, yeah, and he's improving, and he knows what he needs to improve on. So I'm very happy about that. Yeah, different kinds of hooks, pressure on my palms, uh, kind of a more foreboding thing. He doesn't get stuck in one groove, which is important. Um, it's better in every way
Yes.
in terms of those weaknesses, but it still has meat missing.
Now, when you say meat missing, what do you mean? Do you think we could put our finger on what is missing?
It, um, like as an example, these two guys, Amani and King Vision Ultra, came
Okay.
together. They put together an album called An Unknown Infinite. Very New York album. And I was surprised. I referenced it, I think, last week with the Nas thing. The first song on the album says featuring Elucid, but it's just Elucid.
Hmm.
The actual, but
Yep.
Amani, the actual MC, steps back and just gives the track to Elucid. And Elucid smashes it. It's fabulous. That song probably has more to digest than Good For You. The whole album.
The whole album.
Yeah.
And what is there to digest?
We're just talking about depth, man. We're talking about layers of concepts and things that, you know, things that you have to think about and pick apart, right?
Okay, right. Okay, I see what you mean. Like there's
Remember,
very aside in the music, like that's right. Like for me, I don't think I'll ever listen to Good For You again. But you know, if as like Caroline, when Caroline came on the club in the club in 2017, like I would stop what I was doing and whatever I was doing, and I would rap along to it. If
Mhm.
Caroline comes on, like of course I'll listen to it and won't change the song. But other than that, like there's nothing. I don't think there's not anything necessarily to go back to. Like I'm not gonna get anything more out of it. Listen to it a second time. Is that kind of what you mean? Like there's no reason for multiple repeat listens to it.
Well, there is in terms of it's fun, right? It's a fun album to listen to.
Right.
You're just putting stuff on and enjoying it. The way to think about it, it goes back to um, food groups.
Okay.
Hip hop is food groups, and the good for you is junk food.
Ooh.
It's
Is he trying to be junk food, or is he trying to be more?
um, it's I mean it's just like good for you is like the candy in the aisle on the way to check out in the grocery store. Um, but it's not a meal, right?
Right, right.
What hip hop album would you think about in 2020 that was a meal?
Uh that was a mill. And how would you define a mill?
I mean, like I said, it's the main course. It feels like the main course.
Um 2020. I mean, obviously for hip hop, Ka.
Yeah, Descendants of Cain. Um,
Yes.
it's that is definitely there's a lot to
Now,
digest.
I'm trying to think of like a major.
I
What
mean,
would you say a major level?
Shrines, Billy Woods. I mean, I don't know if that's um,
Right.
fits what you're talking about, but it's it you come away with it like oof, you know, um, and it's a big deal.
Okay. A mill. Okay.
Yeah, I mean even
That's
like Navy Blues, Ada Irene, like you really feel like oof, I've really connected to something important. Like I said, it's not about smart. It's not about science. It's not about like, you know what? I learned algebra from this album. That's not what
right.
we're talking about. It's about the feeling of having been there for something important.
And, and what I'll say with those albums is, particularly Navy Blue, I think what they do is they do a great job of. I sometimes I like to think of like music like traveling the planets. You know what I mean? Like or out particular albums. Like when you hear an album, you're traveling to another planet for forever, however long that album is.
Right.
And you know, albums like Ka Navy Blue, you put that on and you're traveling to that planet, and you're on that planet for that album.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's like a trip. It's like a journey. That's why we connect with it so much, because it's really like transporting us out of the situation we're in. I mean, I think both of the albums came out during quarantine. Like you're literally taking time out of your day to take this journey with this artist to another planet.
Right.
And I feel like that with all the great albums. I always feel like I'm transported somewhere else. I don't feel like that, and maybe this is the line. Like when I listen to any of the Aminé, I don't feel like that.
I mean, and I think Limbo is the closest of any of them, right?
Yes, it is close.
Limbo,
Yeah.
Limbo, you really start to feel like, oh, this is we're communicating. We're really starting to communicate on issues.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to be happy and positive and respect it. It's much easier to be sad.
Yeah.
If you're sad over sad beats, it's serious. Everybody knows it's serious. It cues you to being serious, right? It was like I used to have this problem with Daniel Day-Lewis. When people would say Daniel Day-Lewis is the best actor, and I'd be like, he's just constantly letting you know he's the best actor. Because of these stories of him never taking off his Lincoln costume and, you know, and playing every scene as serious as you can imagine. Like, he makes you see him that way.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not better than some of the, you know, the other people who've been doing it as long and as well, right? Like he's just he's him, right?
Mm.
But yeah, if you're sad, you get a lot more credit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. I could see that. I mean, that's what we equate. We equate seriousness or what's the word I want to use? Gravitas, depth with being sad.
Right. I mean, to take a full in on the thing, Jeff Bridges is a better actor than Daniel Day-Lewis.
Woo! It's a hot take.
It's just that Jeff Bridges has laughed too much.
Yeah.
He's laughed too much for us to forgive it. But he is one of the best villains in the history of the Marvel Universe. He is in my favorite movie of the last 10 years, the bank robbery Texas movie.
Oh, Hell or High Water? Is it?
Yes. Yes,
yeah.
he's excellent. Hell or High Water. He's excellent in everything.
Big Lebowski dude. I mean,
he's going back in his career. It was excellent in the 70s, man. Like but like I said, he's happy. He's a happy dude. He's been a positive force. It's not that cool for people. The negative pops. So that's why I want to give Aminé credit because he is doing happy rap, but he isn't doing it in a dumb way. He isn't just dumping it.
Now you made a comparison. You made a comparison of him to Wale at the beginning of the show. How would you say that they are? What do you think the divergence between the two is?
And I did come to the divergence after going all the way through. I said no, I don't think he is Wale because Wale started as a backpacker, started rapping his ass off. I mean, I remember hearing him rap with Brother Ali, you know, and then he left that to do the popular thing. Aminé has been scheming his way to the pop stuff, you know. I listened to a mixtape calling Brio from 2015 before Good For You. And it has some good stuff on there, man. It's definitely better than 1.5. But it's full of stuff that would be hits. It's full. I mean, I remember listening to this might be my comparison. I remember listening to B.O.B. in the mixtape scene.
Oof.
And I remember thinking, no, this isn't an underground rapper. This is just a pop rapper who hasn't become pop yet. If you believe that pop is more than simply numbers, that it's the way the music's constructed,
Okay.
B.O.B. was always pop. He wanted the sun to shine on every element of that music, straight up.
Right.
I saw B.O.B. live. He had dancers. He was dancing.
He danced.
Fun. It was fun. We loved it. That's B.O.B., man. And B.O.B. was also super talented.
Absolutely.
Singing, rapping, musical orchestration, right? Playing the
I mean,
instruments.
he was ahead of his time, I think.
But he also had problems with the self, right? He had problems with, like, y'all think I do R&B? I'm rapping my ass off about strip clubs now. But who wants that from you, dude? Like, there's a lot of that music. Like, there's a lot of people who all they do is that, and they're quite good at it. You don't need to jump in on them.
Right.
But yeah, I'm gonna go B.O.B.
Wow.
Jack of all trades. I think the skill set is on that level.
Wow.
The advantage
So
the advantage he has over B.O.B. is the non-cluttered production.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's found him and Pascal.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he's found like his, like Drake found his 40, not or Drake found 40 or 40 found Drake, whatever.
Right.
I do think it's important for artists to have like that one producer that knows what their optimal sound sounds like.
I want to correct you. Drake parted the Red Sea and 40 was there. That's
okay.
That's how they met. You can look it up. Google Drake parting the Red Sea. Google that, and that'll tell you
everything. It's funny because I actually had to pause for a second. I had to think about that. But Drake is Drake. We have to have one mention of him every time. You know what I mean? It's just
fair. Yep.
But
check in.
How do you think? Aminé, how do you think he avoids the B.O.B. fate?
Yeah, and so B.O.B. was not just a jack of all trades, but he's a cluttered mind.
Mm-hmm.
He started having these songs about conspiracy theories, about stuff the government doesn't want you to know, and it would be right alongside like fun dancing hits that would go to the live show, and like super lyrical songs where he was just beasting out. Like, there wasn't a lot of cohesion anymore. And his label didn't know what to do with him either. Atlantic was like, I don't know, man. What do you do with this guy? And yeah, he was a cluttered mind. I think Aminé is better at organizing his thoughts.
Okay.
But it's almost the opposite problem. I could stand for him to get a little weirder.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, I agree.
I could stand for him to get a little weirder. Certainly more personal. The limbo direction is what I want. The the song where he is most like I'm discussing what's on the skits is Woodlawn, the second song.
Mm-hmm.
He really gets into stuff and starts picking it apart. It's yeah, he's got a great flow. Um, I want him to push it. I want him to push it and
Okay.
push himself. But I'm excited about him. What do you think his ceiling is? Do you think he is like? Is it a Wiz Khalifa ceiling? Is he going to be a singles guy?
I mean, I think with Wiz, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like Wiz came out from the gate from Cushion Orange Juice, like all of his mixtapes. We knew who he was from the gate.
That's a good point. That's a good
And
point.
I mean, his sound has been, and it's remarkable to think about, for a good decade, over a decade, he's had a remarkably consistent sound. You know what I mean? Like I would argue that he's like one of the, as you mentioned about the different types of rappers, he's a sculptor.
Mm-hmm.
Wiz has found his niche, he's found his lane, and that's what he's going down.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
I mean, I think Aminé, I think, he has all of the tools. You just hope that, he gets the vision and things click. I do think he has the potential to make a great album.
And I would say he's lucky
Mm-hmm.
because I think Wiz would have told you that Cushion Orange Juice came too fast.
Okay. And what do you mean by too fast?
Um, that once you front load a classic like that, people always just want that again.
Yeah, that's true.
Ask Raekwon.
That's,
Uh, it's hard. It's hard to step and be like, I want to do something different now. At this point, Aminé has different looks and phases,
that's a good, yeah.
but with the common themes, right? Like Heebie-Jeebies is the one R&B song on Good For You. Easy's the one R&B song on Limbo. There's a construction there. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. He's gonna switch it up, but he's gonna keep some stuff we recognize. Um, so all he needs is to, change 35% of it each time.
Mm. Okay.
And we'll all feel like, okay, this is still my guy, but he's doing something different.
Right. Right. That's fair. That's very fair. I'd agree with that. I mean, he's just got to continue growing. Because I mean, he's still, I think he's 26 now. He's still got.
And that was my point with that. If he's 26 now in 2020, that means he was like 23 and 22 when he was making Good For You.
Right.
So, yeah, very young and a very horny album for that reason. But 26 is a different age, man.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested in what he sounds like at 28.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't feel this way too often about young rappers, but I think as he matures, as he gets older, his sound will sound. He'll be one of those artists who, as they grow older, their sound is going to get better.
And by the way, shout out to Charlie Wilson, who's a goddamn legend.
Whew. Absolutely.
Whew. Charlie Wilson, man, Nate Dogg would be proud of the
Yeah.
work he does on hooks. He has been destroying it, and he's not one of these dudes just hooks. Like, look up his last album; it's great. Charlie Wilson's great, straight up.
I mean, he's had a hell of a career, man.
Oh, it's iconic. Recommendation corner first. Very excited I have to tell you that I think these Burna Boy videos are teaching my son about child soldiers. Um, and in a way, I'm comfortable with. He's got to learn about child soldiers, and I don't want to have a talk, right? Uh, so, but my son loves Burna Boy, and Twice as Tall is such a fun album. Uh,
Absolutely.
he loves that song "Wonderful," and he was listening to it. And he was kind of like making fun of the weird words he was saying, and I was like, no, no, this guy knows other languages. This guy is smarter than you. He knows multiple languages. We're not making fun of that.
I love him, man.
So,
Gotta start him young, you know?
but it's good for him to know, like, this dude is from a different place, and so he can speak yours and his. Um, but yeah, I mean, the Naughty by Nature feature on that album is incredible. Twice as Tall.
Hmm.
Uh, and we want to talk about album covers, man. Twice as Tall might be my favorite album cover of the year.
Mm.
It's so great. Um, and I don't know if you heard about what it did on the charts.
No, what'd it do?
It's like the highest selling Nigerian album of all time.
Wow.
It's the only African album to have 5 singles charting at the same time.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't got the opportunity to listen to it yet, but I need to. I will definitely, because you're like the second or third who's mentioned that album.
It's a good time, man. It's a good time, and there's, I mean, Monsters You Made. That video is intense, um, but all the videos are great. Uh, he's just very thorough. I have a lot of respect for his come up, especially since, and I don't know. I'm a Jewish person. I'm not allowed to say this, but African Twitter hates that dude. Hates, like, if you throw his name through Twitter, it's it's just the whiz kid loyalists like going ham on him all the time. It's wild. But like he's a counter movement man. He's a different dude, and he's done it himself. And uh, I think he's immensely talented. The other person, I'm very excited. I just have him in my head. Nico is released an album with El Bless called Sofrito 2020.
Mm.
And if you go to sofrito2020.com, great site, you can buy the album. I don't think it's on streaming services. Uh, it's really interesting, Nico, his album. I'm a big fan of his. I did an interview with him. I did a 5-question interview that I'm going to be posting at some point in the future. Uh, and it was super interesting because he is Talib Kweli's right hand man.
Hmm.
In my opinion, he like re-enthused Quali to want to rap more because he's so naturally good at it. He's infectious, and so Quali takes him everywhere. And Quali was invited to this like camp of geniuses or something,
Okay.
and so Nico is just hanging out with like Dave Chappelle and shit, just balling out, man, balling out, and doesn't think it's weird at all. He's just a naturally social dude uh, with a very different perspective. And we talked about Brazilian soul. We just talked about a lot of stuff. It was really cool. Um, and that album was really, really good. It's really different from anything you'll hear this year. Um, yeah. And Just look up the damn song, the fucking, what is that single, dude? Is it White Shirt with the Polo or something? There you go. All white suit, all white suit with the polo. Look up the video. It's an incredible video. I'm using an image from it as like my work icon, and it's an image of like Nico is holding a chicken right near El Bless. It's fabulous, and yeah, I rep Nico as always. So that's my thing. Do you have anything else?
No.
It's a good deal, man. Stay safe out there, and fire the front office of the 76ers. Scott O'Neal! You're my enemy! You're my enemy!